That's why we call the beast. Any of you remember, could tell me the definition of the beast? Let's see if you all have been studying. This is the test question. What's the beast? If the woman is the entity with ideology, what is the beast?
I think it is a political institution with power that has adopted the ideology of the woman.
Institution. Sorry. Thank you for that. So it is political and it is an institution with power. If it didn't have any power, then the woman doesn't need it. If it wasn't political, then the woman doesn't need it. With power that adopted the ideology of the woman. Let's go with that only. So you have 6 and 7. Any of you, what's the difference between the 6 and the 7? Using Revelation 17, why are they different?
The sixth kingdom is not being controlled by the woman, while you see the seven is being controlled by a woman. So you can see the difference there. And also again, you see the sixth kingdom. You see the sixth kingdom is a bit using the principle of democracy, whereby you see that it's giving that principle. But when you come to here, you see the seventh kingdom is the authoritarian kingdom.
Perfect. So if I use the following symbol, let's say this is a beast that has not adopted the ideology of the woman. I put a beast here. This is the 6. And then I put a beast here. But it has a woman. That is the difference, right? Not any woman, the woman, Revelation 17, the bad one. That is part of the conclusion. I know I'm skipping a lot of steps and there's complexities to explain. I'm using the symbol beast, but I already gave a definition of beast that it is the political institution that adopted the ideology of the woman. So how come I put a beast without no woman? So I'm skipping steps. But I think on the surface level, uh, some of you or most of you understand that the 6 is simply the kingdom without the bad woman. That's why the 6 was good. We're not talking about whether it had a good woman. I don't want to go there. Maybe you will go there with uh, next speakers. Let's uh, I don't know. I just want to say we know on the surface level, using only Revelation 17 at a surface level, that the 6 it's different to the 7 because the woman is not there. That is represented when we read these verses. Let's say Revelation 17, 17, 8, it says, the beast that you saw was in the past, is not in the present, but will be in the future. That is exactly what's happening here. The past the past is the fifth, and it says the beast was. When it says the beast was, it's referring to this, to the junction of the woman and the beast, this bad ruling power that has governed the kingdoms of the earth is the woman and the beast. At a surface level, that's what it is. And it says it was. When? When was it? It was not only during the five, it was during the one, during the two, during the three, during the four, and during the five. That beast was. Always it was. But something interesting happens. It is not in the present. And that is the six. That's why it is good. It's not that there's no kingdom. It's not that there's no a political institution. It's that simply is not controlled by the woman. Surface level, that's what it is. Meaning, Sunday law, this is unique among this movement. No Adventist would explain the Sunday law the way we do it. We now say the Sunday law is the moment in time when the woman comes back. As simple as that. Whenever the woman comes back, that would be the Sunday law. We all agree with that. Even these people who spoke about January, July, November, they know that. It's when the woman comes back. When it comes back, then you know we arrived to the Sunday law. Meaning, no other chapter in the Bible gives us something so specific. For example, we have Revelation 13. Revelation 13 would say something very similar, transition. It was a lamb, and then it was a dragon. The same nation, United States, lamb, dragon. When is the Sunday law? When it begins to speak like a dragon, right? How can you determine when that happened? Is it because of the Iraq war of Bush Sr.? Is it because the Iraq war during Bush son? Is it because when Trump arrived in 2016? Is it because Trump arrived in 2024? Like, what is the moment when the dragon speaks? We don't have a good criteria to determine when it happens. We know it happens at some point, and that would mark the Sunday law. But we don't have any criteria to say, when is it? It speaks like a dragon when exactly? Every time the United States did anything wrong, that's the dragon? That's not a good criteria. We need to find a good point. That's when Revelation 17, it's special. Because it not only tells you that whether it speaks bad or not, it tells you that there was something that changed with the beast. That's no longer a beast controlled by the woman. At some point, the woman will come back. If we investigate, like search, what is the beast anyway? What is the woman anyway? If we ever find what those symbols are, we might be able to tell when they joined again, when the beast and the woman joined again. That's why 17 becomes a special chapter for determining the Sunday law, because you have two very different symbols who are separated and then they come back. If you find out what they are, you might also find out when they came together. So I hope that's clear. Having determined that, I'm also going to jump a little bit ahead, assuming that you all know the application of the woman and the beast. I'm no longer talking about the definitions, which is what we spoke about. These are definitions. I'm now wanting to talk about the application. So we have the woman again, and we have the beast again. Now application. Who can help me out? What's the woman? What's the beast?
Yeah, I will help you
Okay.
out. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have some small idea about the application. Yeah, I can say the beast is the opposite of the president. That is the one having the power, and the woman is the person that is playing the role, which is the president, which is Trump.
The woman.
The woman is
The
Trump.
woman is not the president.
Okay.
The woman is a person
Okay.
that we call Trump, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I want to make clear that distinction. I'm going to tell you why. So I'm going to put Trump in here. And I'm going to go to let's make a line right here. And July, it's here. And this is before July. Before July, this is the woman, right? And the woman is saying, I need a beast. I need to sit down on that beast and control it. Is that right? The woman wants to sit on the beast, but she doesn't have any. This is before July. Who is the woman before July? What do you think it was? Was it you,
Uh,
Dale?
yeah. It is Trump.
Is Trump president before July?
No.
So you know that the woman is not the president.
I agree now.
So it is strange because at some point, Trump will become the president. But him as president, he is the beast because he has the office. He's sitting there. But at the same time, not Trump the president, Trump the person. This one here, before July, he is the woman. Let me change. Let me change it to the following way. Who people thought the woman was before the international camp meeting last year? I'm sure you know, or you heard that we didn't have a clear definition who the woman was before the camp meeting, and there were theories. Who do you remember was the woman? Some people thought the woman was what?
I think they take it to be the evangelical, that is the Republican Party.
I think I heard people, even teachers said that the woman was MAGA.
Yeah.
Remember MAGA?
Yes. Yes.
MAGA, I don't know how can we call MAGA. MAGA is it a bunch of people who believe in something, or MAGA is the ideology itself. Whatever that is, people thought the woman was MAGA. And because people thought the woman was MAGA, when Trump became the president, who is the woman? If we go through that theory, not Trump, MAGA. And when MAGA says something to Trump and Trump obeys, you could say, well, really, MAGA is the woman because Trump is doing everything MAGA asks. That is the pure definition of a political institution that adopted an ideology, at least. Let's keep it like that. But we know Trump doesn't obey MAGA. We all know, right? Trump doesn't obey MAGA. Any of you agree with that? I'm asking because last week I heard people in my previous study said that Trump obeys MAGA. I wanted to make sure, how do you see it here among yourselves? Trump does what MAGA asks? Any idea? Just an opinion? Can you repeat any?
No.
If you
Yes,
said
actually,
no, you said yes or no?
I'm saying no. Trump does not obey the MAGA.
Okay, why?
Like for instance, if you look last week, not last week, yeah, last week actually, there were like when you look at the Supreme Court ruling, we're ruling against the tariffs that Trump is putting across the globe. But you see, Supreme Court is being made of six justices that belong to the Republican Party, which is being made of MAGA.
Okay.
So, and now when you look at the second regarding the tariffs, so now when the rule against Trump tariffs across the world, but when Trump get up after the ruling, Trump come against these people and put 15% tariffs across the world. That was one point to see that the Trump does not stand them and they don't stand with Trump at some point. And now another issue is that this is going on in Iran. You see now Trump, so he did not consider, Trump did not consider the other part of Congress. So he just decide the war, went on with the war. But you can see them now opposing Trump, that Trump has made the war by himself. He did not consult the House, the Senate, the Congress. So you could see that at some point they don't stand with Trump all along.
But you need to remember earlier that MAGA is not the Supreme Court. MAGA is not Congress. MAGA is the people who vote for Trump. And I'm asking, how do we know that MAGA is not the woman? Does Trump obey his people, his supporters? Philip?
Oh, well, this is not Philip, it's Michael. We are using one
Sorry,
device.
Michael.
Yeah, no problem. It's written
Okay.
Philip. Yeah. I have a short question. Maybe maybe the class would respond to it. My question is, can there be MAGA without Trump? Can there
Good
be
question.
MAGA without Trump? That is what I'm struggling with. Because to me, it's quite difficult. Can there be Trump? Can there be MAGA without Trump? Then Trump can either obey or disobey that MAGA.
So can I ask you, Michael?
Yes.
Even without answering the question that you asked, what do you think? Does Trump obeys his supporters, or he does what he wants?
Okay, Trump does not obey what other people tell him, even those of his inner circle. That's what I know.
Thank you. Mijak?
So,
Hello.
but I cannot see maybe MAGA without
Yeah, finish your sentence, please.
Okay, I cannot see MAGA without Trump because Trump is the big man behind MAGA. So should he drop the ideas of MAGA today? I believe there can be no MAGA in America. He's the one who comes
You're
with the
saying
idea to make America great again, and then people now rallies behind him to support his idea of MAGA. And I think he's the person behind MAGA. So there can be no MAGA without Trump anyway, in my analysis.
that's a good way to put it. Thank you for that. So you're saying that if Trump dies tomorrow, MAGA will die later on. MAGA can only exist as Trump exists.
Yeah, to a great extent, I can say yes.
Okay, perfect. Bijek and then Ake.
Yeah, I have the same opinion with Michael,
Uh-huh.
because Trump said himself that he's the one who defined the terms of who is being MAGA and who is not MAGA. So whatever thing that deal with MAGA is being defined by Trump. So Trump said, if we wanted to go to war, that is America first. If you wanted to do whatever you want to do, that is America first. So he's the one defining what is MAGA and what is not MAGA. So he's the one who is MAGA himself. And anybody who is supporting him, then that person become part of his ideology or part of his group. So that is what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bijek. Then Ake.
Yeah, my view is, with all the dictators that come in through democratic process, in most cases, people believe that they bring them to power and hoping that they can be controlled. But at the end of the day, they end up controlling the masses through their own ideology. For example, when Hitler came to power, people who were with him in the same political party thought that now he was coming to be the savior, but he ended up being the monster, trying to control everybody. That is one thing I've seen. So Trump came through the democratic process as the leader of the Republican Party, but at the end, he has his own mind, so he decides what is foreign policy and what's not. That's one thing. Again, with the elections and the United States, democracy mostly, the president like a king. So that president, you can elect him, but to govern, to determine the direction of the country, mostly it relies on goodwill. If a person respects norms and he does not want, he wants, let's say, where everyone has a say, then he can do it. But we know from the beginning, since 2016, Trump has broken a lot of norms. And if people thought that they would control him, that was the fair chance was given to them in the first time of his office from 16 to 2020. So I believe nobody can control Trump if he's a real dictator.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So I think we all agree that the supporters do not control Trump. So that's how we know the supporters are not the woman, but we already agree with that. We know that it is Trump. So Trump, the person, before July, was the woman who wanted to ride the beast. He was looking for a beast because the beast has a lot of power. And then we need to decide when the relationship started. So we go to the following thing. In Revelation 17, we have only one symbol for Trump. I'm now switching. I want to speak about Trump. Trump, it's equal to the woman. But the office, it's equal to two symbols. What are the two symbols? The office is equal to. Anyone remembers? The office in Revelation 17 is what? One we already spoke about. Which one is it? What's the
I think
office?
the beast of the head.
Sorry?
The beast of the head.
Perfect. I'm going to put beast slash head. What else? What is the office? It's not a trick question. It's in Revelation 17. What else is the office? Sorry?
Mountain?
I think people.
Someone said people, someone said
I was
mountain. What else?
Water, something like that.
Water. Water is people.
Yeah.
People is not the office of the president. People is the people who vote. I'm looking for what is the office in Revelation 17. And you said, some of you said the beast, the head. Perfect. That's one symbol. What is the other thing that the woman wants? He wants the beast, wants to ride the beast. That's symbol one for office. But we have another symbol for office. What is it?
The 10 horns?
Not the 10 horns. Let's put it like this.
Be the mountain or what?
Okay. You could say mountain, but I would say beast head slash mountain. I know there are different symbols, but I'm looking for something that is like really different. I'm going to change the question. There is two verbs, actions of the woman, two very important actions. When we're talking about the beast or the head, we're talking about this. Sit upon, which is equal to riding. Like when you ride a horse, when you ride a camel, when you ride donkeys, when you ride elephants, animals that you ride, they are a symbol of power. That's why it is the symbol in Revelation 17. I hope we agree with that. So she sits upon an animal. That is one thing she does in Revelation 17. And when she does, we mark the Sunday law. But we're missing one symbol of something that she does. What is it?
Shall we say fornication, Pedro?
Exactly. But fornication would be this part. Fornication. Can you commit fornication biblically with an animal? Is it what happened in Revelation 17? We know it's not. Who does she commit fornication with? I know you know.
Kings of the earth.
The kings. I'm going to put king in singular. The office is the beast. The office is the king. Both are symbols of something that she wants to control or that she wants to have relationship with. When we're talking about the beast, it's because she wants to ride the beast. When we're talking about the king, it's because she wants to commit fornication with the king. Look how the action changes. But both are talking about the same thing. What am I saying? What I'm saying is this. Again, the same line. We have 6, 7. The point in the middle that we call Sunday law, it's the moment when she rides the beast, symbol 1. But we cannot forget symbol 2, which is to fornicate, symbol 2. Now we have two actions. When they begin to commit fornication, that is Sunday law. When she begins to ride the beast, that is Sunday law. I hope you all follow me so far. Am I doing, I'm not making sense? We're good.
It's good. It's good.
Okay, so the moment in time when these two things come together, whether we're talking about woman and animal, which is the beast, or whether we're talking about the woman and the king, sexual relationship, when they come together, that would be the Sunday law. That's what we're saying Revelation 17 is about. Now we need to find the moment when that happens. And we say, okay, well, when does Trump, the woman, seated upon the beast? Meaning, when does Trump controlled the office? Any idea? When did Trump control the office?
January 20.
In January 20. Anyone disagree with that?
But of course, he wins election in November. So after
But
winning
does he
election,
control the office?
not really constitutionally, no. But he controls after he's sworn in, then he becomes the new president. In that very minute, you remember when he gave his speeches about America recognizing two genders, how he's going to take over Panama, and very many other things, promises that he made, talking about the golden era. So I think that is the time which marked him controlling the office. And then he went and signed an executive order from exactly after leaving the meeting.
So the actual control of that beast only happens when he is sworn in. Very logical step. But you know what? It's too easy. It's an answer too easy to find. And sometimes I was told in prophecy, the answer is not that easy. It should make us suspicious. Like it's so easy, so logical. When she sits on the beast, which is this animal that is powerful, which is the presidency of the United States, the most powerful office in the world, well, it only happens when you're sworn in January 20. But we are only looking at symbol number 1. We are forgetting symbol number 2. So pay attention here, people. This is the moment when everything starts to make sense. In my mind, it did. So if I say, okay, I know Trump rides the beast in January, that would lead me to think that Sunday law is January. But I cannot forget that there's two symbols, fornication. And I say, okay, when does the fornication happen? When Trump physically commits fornication with the office. And then you would say, fornication is when you go to bed with someone. When that happened in real life, when they physically have sex. No idea? Who was the person that just Simon, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that is July. That is where now he was being elected and he now have control over the party. And that is now that where I can say fornication start.
But I want to know, Simon, not when the fornication starts. I want to know when they physically had sex. That's what fornication is all about. We know that.
Yeah.
When you
So you
when
are
did
asking
that?
when physically have sex. That is when you see them. You want the start or the end.
They start.
When is it?
I'm saying, are you asking the end or the start?
I'm asking, when does the woman went to bed with the king that we know is Trump and the office? When they went to bed, physical action.
Okay. So I can say that the time that he now began to go physical, that is January 20th.
January. That's again
Yeah.
the same answer. We had to give the same answer. It has to be because when you sit on an animal, that's a physical action. You sit. At some point, you were not sitting, then you climb up the horse, and now you're sitting. Physical action. When you commit fornication, at some point, you are not doing it, and then both of you are in bed, and it's happening. Physical. Both things happened in January. I want us to be in the same page. Now, the complexity comes when we read the Bible and we say, let's try to understand fornication better. Fornication is like this. It's like an umbrella, right? And under that umbrella, you have different types of fornications. But they're all the same thing. It's a physical action of having sex in a negative manner, whatever that is. That's fornication. So you can have several types of fornication under the umbrella. All of those ultimately are the same thing, have the same characteristics in terms of the physical action, which is to have sex with somebody. So we understand that. And we say, and we decided, you know what? Trump sits on the beast, meaning full control of the office, only in January 20. Good. As well, Trump sleeps with the office, meaning having sexual relationship. I know that is a symbol, but we mean the same thing. He's a dictator who could not use that throne. It's wrong. It's a wrong relationship because that throne is democratic. That's why it's fornication. And therefore, that only happens in January 20, when he exercises the powers of the presidency. He's a dictator. But when we go, and I know you all understand this story, when we go to Matthew and we read Matthew 5, was it 28? Yes. Matthew 5:28, I say unto you that whoever looketh at a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Adultery is one of these things that are under the umbrella, which is fornication. I don't want to talk about marriage. I know adultery has to do with marriage. I don't want to go there. I just want to keep it at a very simple level. The fornication in the Bible, according to Jesus, has a stage that is yet not physical. If you, any of you, could find a Bible verse about riding animals, where the verse say something like, if you think about sitting on the horse, you already did it in your mind. We know that that doesn't exist. And that's the whole point. It doesn't exist because it's not a important thing. But for God, it is important if you're thinking it in your mind. That's the moment when Jesus said, hey, did you know that if you think about it in your mind, you already did it? And you say, but come on, fornication is something physical. And God tells you it's something that happens in your heart. What does it say? Yeah, in your heart, which we know is the mind. So, people, again, from the two symbols that I have, symbol 1, symbol 2, which one happens the earliest? Before we said that it happens in the mind, we determined that both happen at the same time. Physical actions. Either you sit on the horse or you sleep with the king. Both things are physical. But between the two, which one is the earliest? Which one has an element that happens even before the physical? We already answered it, but I want to hear you. That's okay.
That is fornication.
And how do you know, Simon?
Yeah, before you go to before you come physically, you have already to have a plan over it, and that plan have to come before coming physically. So when you now take action, later you already know before taking action you have a plan of taking that action.
So I want to make this clear. We will erase riding the beast, and we will only stay with fornication because we determined that fornication have the earliest moment, like the actual beginning, and not any fornication, the fornication in the mind would be the first moment. And you know what that does? That eliminates. What does it eliminate? Eliminates January. January was this physical moment. And we now eliminated it. So we are sorting this process. Now we need to decide, well, why is not November then? Why July? And that's when we have to do the most difficult step that I hope I may have time to finish, which is, people, we are saying that an office, which is basically a chair, and a woman, which is strong, are going to commit fornication before touching each other. I know we're talking about the king. I'm going to put king. King is a person. And we know between two people, yes, when you look at each other, remember the verse, Matthew 5:28, what it says? But I say unto you that whoever looketh, do you see that word, look? That is the important word. At least one of the important words. I know there are more. Look. Looking at each other with your eyes is extremely important for fornication to happen. So we need to say, when Trump and the office looked at each other. And both have to look at each other. They both have to do it. So I ask you, you're walking on the street and you see a beautiful, handsome man walking. And you saw him, you say, huh, pretty handsome, cute guy. And then you say, but I don't want to have bad thoughts. So you stop looking. You have something that controls when you look and when you don't look. What is the power that we use to decide when to look and when not to look? Any of you remember what is that? There's a power that we use for that.
Willpower?
The willpower. The willpower lives right here. Sorry. That is the will. And what it does, it decides if you're going to turn your head that way or turn your head this way. And put it those markers in the king because it's a human symbol. A king is a human symbol, like the woman is. That's why the word is fornication, because they're human. But we're talking about an office. An office is an institution. It doesn't have eyes to begin with. Remember the word looketh? Whoever look at the woman, it's problematic. We need to find. What I want you to understand is that we are personifying something that is not a person. We are personifying the institution. The Bible is doing that actually. The institution, we know that is the king or the beast, depending on the symbol you want to talk. That is the office, it's an institution. And when we're talking about the king who commit fornication with a woman, we're trying to determine when does the king look at the woman? But wait a minute, an institution doesn't have eyes, nor an institution have willpower to decide when to look or when not to look. So we need to personify it. And the way that we can solve this conundrum is the following. We would say, yes, it's true. The office doesn't have any willpower like the king does. It doesn't know when to decide when to look or when not to look. So we're going to say the following. The office, it's always looking. Let's put it like this. The office is always looking to this direction with the eyes. Like it cannot help but look in that direction. Okay? And then we need to find out what's missing, which is the willpower, something that makes you see or not see. And we will put the willpower here. That would be a wall. This wall is preventing the office from looking at Trump. When you remove the wall, the office would look at Trump. Remember the word looketh. It's very important when they look at each other. Perfect. So we now go and say, yeah, we have Trump, the woman, and he's looking in this direction. He cannot see the office. Or you could say that he can do it. He can see the office because he has a special eyes. Fornication, it's both ways. Two people have to do it. So in order for the fornication to happen, the office has to look at Trump, but the office has a wall. This wall is for the office, not for Trump. So what is the wall in real life? Any of you have an idea? Something that tells the seat or the office when to look and when not to look.
You can say the election cycle.
It's something
So
within the election cycle.
presidential term limit.
I'm going to go to this, what we had here. Remember this? Primaries, convention, election. When someone is really a candidate for the election. When? Is it at the primaries? Are you a candidate there? The short answer is no. The primaries is to choose a candidate. At the convention, do you become a candidate? Yes. You become a candidate at the convention. Before that, you were not even running for the office. You were running for the candidacy. Did you all know that? That is legal. Like that's how it works. In the primaries, you were not running for the office. People may say it that way, but they're not running for the office. They're running for the candidacy. And once you become a candidate, you're running for the office, meaning the office is expecting you. That is why we say the wall is the party. The parties are the ones who decide when someone is a candidate or not. If Kamala was the bad woman and Trump was a good president, the Sunday law would have been in August, you know, when the convention of the Democrats happened. What I'm trying to tell you is that either party, they're both the wall of the office. But because Kamala was a continuation of a good woman, that didn't change anything. So that's not what we're looking for prophetically of the arrival of the bad woman. But because Trump is the bad woman and Trump was a Republican, we need to look at the Republicans. And for us to find the moment of fornication between Trump and the office, you need to remember the office is not seeing people, cannot see people before the convention. Those people are not candidates. There are many, many in the same party. This is legal thing. This is like how it works. Then when you become the candidate, and it only happens when the party approves you, then the office is expecting you legally. You are a candidate for the office. So Trump became the candidate of the office when the Republicans say, you can become president, you can go. They shouldn't have never allowed him because he's not a good woman. He's a bad woman. But they did. And when they did, they removed the wall. And now the office can see Trump. And when they see each other, the king committed fornication in the mind with Trump. And it only happens when the office sees Trump. And because an office is not a person, we need to find something that makes you understand. At some point, the office cannot see Trump, and then Trump is visible. And the only way you can do that is that if you imagine the office as eyes, but those eyes are blocked. And that's exactly how the system works. The office doesn't know who is the candidate until you are elected by the party in the Republican convention. The party should have never allowed Trump, but the party was broken. We all remember that. So that's the moment when we think about this story that I just told, the fornication story, and we say, it makes sense. Q, F, M, G. Q, what is Q providing? Any of you?
Providing the dead.
What exactly is providing the word Quintus?
The date, July.
It's providing the month, July. Good. What is Fabius providing?
Election.
Election.
The election cycle. Remember, the whole thing, Fabius is the whole thing. It's basically telling you, hey, this is going to happen legally through the election process. So Quintus is telling you when in the election process, and Fabius is telling you the election process. So election cycle, we're missing one, Maximus Gurges. What is Maximus Gurges providing?
I think that is the woman now, which is the one that is in the flood.
It's providing the flood. What is the flood?
That is the woman.
Not exactly. I'm going to read
The
the
actions of the
definition.
woman.
I'm going to read the definition of Gurges to you. It says, wait a moment. It says, Quintus was given the name Gurges for his gluttonous nature, unrestrained nature of consuming every luxury that he had. Any of you remember that definition about the person? Like they call him Gurges for his gluttonous nature. Okay?
Yeah, I remember.
Let's think about that. That is in Wikipedia. Any of you in your own time, go back to Wikipedia when it speaks about Quintus Fabius Maximus Gurges, and it explains why it is called Gurges, and it says it was about his gluttonous nature because he never restrained himself from consuming everything that he came to have. When someone is gluttonous, this person lacks what? What do you lack when you're gluttonous?
Restraint, self-control,
Which is what power?
the willpower, of course.
The
You can't
willpower.
say.
When you don't have willpower, you go and do everything. You are unrestrained. The story about the Sunday law is the story of unrestrained power. For something to be unrestrained, it means that it was restrained at some point. Something like this. You put a wall like this. Let's imagine this is a wall, and behind that wall, there's a lot of water. A lot of water that will come, but it is restrained. You could talk about a river, you know, or the sea. They all have a wall, a limit that they cannot surpass. But sometimes something happens, and that limit can be surpassed. So the story about the flood, the Gurges, the gluttonous Gurges who is unrestrained, it's the story about something that should be restrained, that is the wall, but that wall was broken. It was broken, and then the water flowed, and it caused the flood. That is what the word Gurges is hiding. It is the Maximus unrestrained action. It's the moment when you remove the restraint and now the water comes in. That's Gurges. This is a junction between why he was called Gurges, because of his gluttonous nature. Gluttonous means he doesn't restrain himself. And when you bring water into the symbology, it has to do with this, with something that was restraining the water, and then it was removed, and the water goes and flows, overflows. So I'm going to say that Maximus Gurges, Quintus is providing July, Fabius is providing the election cycle, and Gurges is providing, how can I define it? It's providing, I'm going to say the breaking point. When the unrestriction happens. Unrestrained. And I ask, if I had a wall here, and this wall is the Republicans, and the candidate is Trump, should I allow him or should I restrain him? I restrain him. He's not a good candidate. He shouldn't be president. But what if I destroy the Republicans? What if I conquer the Republicans? The Republicans were a good party. But if I control them, I just remove their power. I remove the wall. And now Trump and the office, they can see at each other, and the fornication happens. So the story of the Sunday law is not the story of when Trump seated on the office in January 20. or when Trump committed fornication with the office in January 20th. It's when Trump and the office committed fornication in the mind for the first time. And that happened only when the office was able to see Trump. And the office can only see Trump when the restraint was removed and he became the candidate. So the summary of our second part is simply, we looked at the election cycle. We know that we have options between January and July. We know that the symbols are the beast and the woman, but also the woman and the king. And that brings us to fornication, which tells us fornication happens before the physical action, before January. We need to find something before. And if we study how fornication happens, we found out that it doesn't have to do with the election. It has to do with something that prevented the office from seeing Trump, seeing physically. Trump and the office, they saw each other only when he became the candidate. And that only happens at the Republican convention. And then when we look at Quintus Fabius Maximus Gurges, we see that it provided the month, it provided the theme, which is the election cycle, and it provided the breaking points, which is when the Republicans broke and now the water entered. They no longer restrained what they needed to restrain. That is what Gurges is, the unrestrained nature, the moment of unrestrained. I'm calling it breaking point. I don't know if that's a good way to say it. That was what I had to bring to you. I hope it makes sense. And it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Pedro. And I thank everyone for attending. Indeed, you have seen 13 or around 15 people, but some of them are fellowship, so like the whole church is listening to you, and maybe the computer is one, so that's why you are seeing as if people are few, but they are quite many, and the translation is being done locally down.